Lin-Manuel Miranda, you musical hooker, you've done it again. This entire musical was fire. All the music in this movie was beautiful. But we already talked about the music, and now we have to talk about the movie itself. This movie takes no prisoners, and we even thought it was not an open-ended world adventure game. It does take a whole movie to get a resolution for it. What I mean by that is, unlike Frozen and Rapunzel and all that other Disney crap, where they take you on a grand adventure through the whole kingdom and then you get the happy ending at the end, this entire movie takes place in one little town, and even smaller than that, it takes place in one house. Granted, it's a magical house, but it is just one house. But that's what makes it even more enticing, is because all of this is very much, well, personal. It's a personal story. Spoilers for people who have not seen the movie, they are really cruel to each other, right? In the movie, the family, they're cruel to each other in pursuit of perfection, that they pushed a whole member of their family away and into the walls of their own home. For a family that supposedly loved each other, they blamed Bruno for all the bad things that happened to them. Newsflash, Bruno didn't control the future, he could only see it. All of the visions he saw, all of them could have been prevented, but the people he saw the visions for did nothing to change their future. Yeah, really, watching this movie, them talking about Bruno, the song We Don't Talk About Bruno, all of it, every last little bit of it, has set up Bruno to be the titular bad guy for this movie. And even when Mirabel first finds him, prior to us actually meeting and talking with him, he is presented as a sinister villain, complete with the dark ambiance and all everything else, and the fact that this man could parkour across a giant-ass, crater, should have spoken to, he's the bad guy in this, and then you come to find out, no, Bruno disappeared into the walls because he didn't want to leave home, but he didn't want his family to constantly be side-eyeing him as the bad luck charm for the rest of his days, either. So, yeah, for a family that supposedly kept preaching they loved each other so much, they pushed their own uncle, their own brother, their own son into the walls of their familial home because of preconceived notions that his gift was bad, without really realizing it's not bad. And it gets worse is because they do this to Mirabel too. They unintentionally, except her mother and father, treat her like she's less than, all because she doesn't have power, which, is just not good. Bruno cannot be blamed for other people's failings, and Mirabel is the only family member who is looked down on, even though she's trying to save the family. And here, right, this is, in case for those of you who really did not get the familial message of this, it's generational trauma. And it is showing to you that, yes, generational trauma is a real thing, and it can be handed down from one generation to the next, even unintentionally, because the trauma that happened to one person in the family, especially a grandparent, is passed down to their children, and then the children's children, and then it can go on for generations. This is a movie that is telling you that what happened to Alma, right, Abuela, has inadvertently traveled through not only her children, but her grandchildren, because in her warped ideal of everything has to be perfect, that's the only way that she can muster it in her heart to save everybody. So this is the part where I'm going to say this is spoilers, and this is the only spoiler tag you're going to get. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Moving on. When everything happens to Alma, Abuela, at her old village, it's a lot to deconstruct, but the flashback scene that you get in the movie does explain to you that her village was burnt to the ground, and she had just given birth to her 3 children when all of this happened, and loses her husband, presumably, if not the same night, a few nights later. This, right here, has cemented that in her mind, the candle, right, all of this, the magic, happened because she worked hard enough for it to grace her with a miracle, a gift, the house. So in her mind, when her children get the gifts, they too have to earn it. They have to be worthy of it. It's the reason why in the song The Family Madrigal, when it's her own little solo in the song, she says it, we have to earn the miracle that found us, which in her mind, she earned it because she was able to run away from this horrible tragedy, survive at great cost to herself. So for her, in her mind, the tragedy should be, as long as we are perfect and keep doing everything we need to do, the miracle will keep giving us gifts, and everything else and everything will be perfect. Not realizing, no, you have completely missed the point of the candle and what it is it was trying to give you. Sometimes the answer to magic is, it's just magic. Also, the magical realism in this is the reason why. Everything about this movie is real. Yes, it makes sense. But the realism and the magic part of it don't have to mesh correctly for a magical realism movie to work. So, quite literally, if the movie had been written any differently and, it's still a magic candle and all of this, and there was actually a twist villain, it would have still worked, but for what this movie is, of generational trauma, it works even better. Is because, from Bruno to Mirabel, it shows bias and prejudice. And the only thing I really didn't like about the movie is that at the end, Abuela got like a big, oh, we forgive you. We need to stop trying to push this message for kids and even teenagers that you should forgive the people who have hurt you in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes the answer is, yeah, they're family, but I still dislike them. Me, personally, I have a family member I cannot fucking stand, and my family has never tried to push me to get along with this family member, which is good, because I would never want to. I have set up the I don't like her boundary, and they've respected that. You guys should try it. Set up the boundary with your own family of, that's not gonna fly. I personally feel that Abuela in this movie was not a character that deserved to be forgiven so easily, even though she went through her own trauma. As the internet has said, your trauma was not your fault, but it is your responsibility. So her village getting burnt to the ground, there is no way that she could have prevented that. It really wasn't a thing. Because for those of you who are not aware, Colombia, for all of its beautifulness, right? The food, the music, the scenery, all of it. Unfortunately for you, right? Colombia has been a country that has had a lot of problems historically, between several civil wars, several assassinations, and my cat is looking at me through the window while I'm recording. Go do something, I'm sorry. What was I talking about? That's right. Colombia has had a lot of historical problems. They have. And the reason why they've had a lot of historical problems can be any number of reasons. Most of the time it's just because it's just been a country that's had its teeth kicked in over the years. But because of that, Colombia is very much a hot spot for a lot of things that have gone wrong over the years. So it's a weird place. Like, I would love to go visit it. I really would. I have a passport. I totally could. But at the same time, Colombia has had lots of issues. So it makes sense that the culture in which this is set, the fact that they completely take it out of what year it's supposed to be in, helps add to this story. And I am so sorry, my cat is... Get off of the window and go do something. Jesus Christ. Actually adds to it, because taking it out to where you don't really know what year it takes place in adds to this, because there have literally been like 3 or 4 civil wars just in Colombia alone, for many different reasons. There have been much smaller wars fought, and there have been hundreds of assassinations and all kinds of stuff that has happened. So really, it's one of those, they've said it in Colombia, which is great. The whole country as a whole, beautiful. 10 out of 10. Would love to go see. Historically speaking, man, this gets dark really quick if you start reading into it. I tried to do a what time period it could have taken place in script, read it to one person that I was friends with, and they completely told me, your math is bonkers. And I was like, really? Because I'm bad at math. And then they pointed it out and I was like, oh shit, I am really bad at math. So I decided to scrap it and do this script instead, which, I'm kind of glad I did. But circling all the way back, because I went off on a big ass tangent, to Abuela. Mirabel would have been in the right if she had never come back to her family with how they treated her, except maybe her mom and dad, but put a pin in that and we'll come back to it. She also would have been in the right if she had never forgiven her grandmother for how she treated her. But that's not the point of the movie. The point of the movie is, like I said, generational trauma. I personally, right, as much as I love the movie as a whole, I really didn't like her cousins or her sisters too much because they always seemed dismissive of Mirabel and her very real concerns because you don't have powers, so why should we care? The only cousin who loves her is her 5-year-old cousin Antonio, because he's been in the nursery for most of his life with her because they relegated her to the nursery. Bruno and Mirabel, right, did nothing wrong except for being less than perfect, and they were made to feel less than human because of it. This is a dark movie for kids because all of it takes place at home, but this is such a personal journey for a gift given by some magical candle that you kind of sometimes really are like, oh man, I wonder how this is gonna play out. Because even though it all takes place in a house, it's very captivating. It's not a world-scape adventure like some other movies have been, and it's great, actually. The end of the movie makes me mad because instead of having all the magic be gone, the magic is given back to them, which, you know what, there's a whole lot of feelings on that. I think I may have to make another script for just feeling that, and kitty, get out of the window, Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry. I'd have to make a whole nother video on that is because, yeah, Mirabel being the only one who never had magic, and then suddenly everybody else is like her and they don't have super strength, being able to grow plants, hear everything, shapeshift, talk to animals, they're normal. It suddenly puts them on her level, and no offense to her, but she's been normal for so long, she's got a higher, skill level in being a normal person who has no superpowers. They would have to learn how to be normal all over again. The end of the movie should not have been them having no powers anymore and having it be just normal like everyone else, right? They should have been, because it's an unspecified amount of time for how long it takes for them to fix their house at the end of the movie, but that's where we just are like, okay, doesn't matter how long it takes. Let's just be generous and say a couple months. It should have been, they don't get their magic back. They're just like everybody else, and that's just gonna have to be a thing. But no, they get the powers back, and Mirabel still doesn't have magic, which I think was like, boo, that's not even fair, man. At least let her have a gift, even if it's just something like, I don't know, anything. Comment below what it should be. Anyway, that's the thing, right? The movie overall was good. It was great, even. I love the fact that we get to see more people of color in movies, but I do not like the message. The message should have been that everyone is good at something, even if it is not a superpower. The message is overall generational trauma, but the secondary message seems to be you're only special if you have a gift to make you special, which no, that's not correct at all. I have a friend, right, who's double jointed, so they can literally fold themselves into a pretzel, and every time I see it, all I can think of is, that's gotta hurt though, right? Like, your poor muscles. Counterpoint, my friend cannot crack their knuckles like I can. Like, I can hear that noise that you guys hear, that's my thumb knuckles cracking because it's a habitual thing for me. They can't do that. They tried it once and they broke their thumb. They had to go to the hospital for it. Would I love to be double jointed? No. That seems like way too much power to abuse. My friend, though, would love to be able to crack their knuckles like I can because they can't do it. Everybody has a weird little gift that makes them special. Everybody has one weird little magic thing about them that nobody else can copy. And all of us have this. We know that one person that, for whatever reason, when they make coffee, it tastes better. We have that one friend who always somehow just cannot fall on ice. No, we don't know why that's a thing. It's just a cool thing they can do. We know people who, it's magic. It's not magic in the sense of being able to control the weather or heal people with food, but it is a form of magic. People have always had magic, and while the generational trauma, which, 10 out of 10, I'm really glad somebody finally said something about it, thanks Disney. The message shouldn't be, you have to have magic to have magic. The message should be, everybody is magical, just it's magic in a different way. It's always like that. It's always just a thing. Everybody has a thing that they're, for whatever reason, they're good at. I know I'm rambling, because I'm trying desperately to remember my thought process in my script. I didn't write past this, so I'm gonna just wing it. The message of generational trauma, really good. The message of you're only special if you have a special power, not good. You should have changed that. Overall, this movie, I would rank it a very solid 8.5 out of 10, only because of, well, the secondary message, personally, I think is some bullshit. But whatever, we'll go with it. I can't help but just feel like maybe this movie could have been a little bit better if they had just kept the rest of the Madrigal family as normal and had them discover, hey, you still have magic, you just don't have magic like you used to. That would have been an even better movie. Actually, would have been an even cooler concept, because then it would have been, yeah, there. You are now all on an equal playing field, and the only person you can rely on to help you navigate through most of this is the kid that you were dismissive of. That's all I really gotta say about that. Generational trauma movie. Good concept. 10 out of 10. Everybody's magical and special if they have magic and stuff, which I think I might be misinterpreting, and I'll take that as the thing that I totally was not paying attention to. 4 out of 10. Could have been a better message. All of the characters, oh my god, they have so many great characters, and then I'll have to be an entirely separate video, and I'm so sorry. I feel bad for my editor. Thank you for listening to me ramble about this, though. That's really nice. I'll link all of my socials in the Discord, and I hope that you guys have an amazing rest of your week. Stay safe.